Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we're going to talk about voice cloning. So if you ever thought about cloning a voice and you want to know how to do it, we're going to show you how we do it at App Vitals and give you some of the tips that we've learned over the past few months. If you don't know us, I'm Dan, AI engineer. I've been building software for about 20 years now. I've been focused on AI for just over a year. This is Dave.
Hi, I'm a DevOps engineer.
Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and dive right into this. We're going to walk you through a repo that we're sharing with you about how we create voice cloning projects. And first, we're going to do a demo. I want to caveat this demo to say finding high quality audio and stitching it all together and building out a voice clone is a lot of work. So we did this for a couple celebrities. We thought it would be kind of fun. We're going to show you our Ali Wong demo. We don't have it in the code here.
But Ali, we're big fans. Do not sue us.
Yeah. But we put together just like 2 to 3 minutes of audio. And I think if you really want a high quality voice clone, you're going to want to put about an hour or more together. And you need to take out the background noise. I think here you'll even notice some background noise. We took it out of some comedy things where there's some cheering in the back, so you can kind of hear hints of that.
Very subtle.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and walk through the demo here.
Hey there.
Hey Ali, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great. Just navigating this whole adulting thing, you know? I mean, who knew buying a house would be harder than giving birth? At least when you're pushing out a baby, you get a cute little human at the end. With a house, you're just left with a giant mortgage and an existential crisis. But hey, at least I can still laugh about it. How about you? How's your world spinning?
All right, so
that was our version of Ali Wong right there, given about 2 minutes of audio.
Yeah,
right?
And I spent, I don't know, probably 30 minutes trying to extract audio and put this together. And then I spent a little bit of time on the prompt to, get her to sound like Ali Wong or speak like Ali Wong. So first is the sound and then it's the words. And I think one of the things that we found when you build out these prompts and you're trying to imitate a person or a character from a book or something that maybe, someone's paying you to bring one of their characters to life. The voice cloning takes some time and the prompting does. So a lot of times AI already knows about these characters and they're just like over the top and you're like, okay, got to tune it back. So there's still a lot of fine tuning just on the prompting to make sure that they're not talking too long. It's not over the top, but it's pretty fun to bring these things.
Yeah, it's super fun. We've done it for 3 characters. We also did it for Adam Sandler and we did it for another potential client. And it is really hard. You have to start with high quality audio. So a live performance event where people are clapping and cheering background, that does not work very well. If you notice, Ali has a little bit of a southern accent at times, and she even has a British accent occasionally.
Yeah.
But basically, it's a really hard problem. You got to start with high quality audio. That's like the most important thing.
Yeah. And usually the characters that we've been working on, they all have like very dynamic voices. Everybody wants to bring like a very high expression person to life. Yeah. Not someone like me. So there's a wide range, and that wide range is actually kind of tough to capture and pull together without confusing these models. Yep. So let's go into the details. So first, we have our standard LiveKit repo here. So you've seen this before. We have the back end, which has the API and the agent. We have the front end, which is the React app. Yep. Then I also have this Chatterbox demo that we're going to get to in a minute. So Chatterbox is an open source TTS project that we used, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, but for running the demo, we had an agent running, we had the backend API running, and then we had the front end that you saw.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not actually going to go through the code. We're going to go more through the process of pulling audio, extracting it, and the tools that we use to do that. Yep. So for this one, we actually used YouTube to pull the audio. So this is a quick little script that will help you extract audio from a YouTube clip. Usually when you're working for someone who owns the content, they will actually just give you a WAV file, so you actually don't need to do this. But if you want to just play around with it and try to create a character like we did with Ali, then you can pull some audio from YouTube and you can mess around with that. But yeah, usually when you're building it out for someone else, you'll just get the audio. So next step then, the first thing that we do, depending on the audio size, is we chop it up. So we use FFmpeg. It's one of the main tools that we use. And then once we chop it up, we start to use Whisper to extract the text. So there can be a very manual process where you're actually trying to listen to all the audio, and that would take quite a bit of time. So we've tried to automate this, and actually if you point Claude at this README and say, okay, these are the steps that I want you to take, you can actually give it the WAV file. It will actually use FFmpeg for you, split that WAV file up into chunks, and then it can start converting it to text for you. Usually what I'll do though, since I want to run this for a while in the background, if it's a lot of files, I'll actually write a script that runs Whisper, because this is probably the longest time is going from speech to text. So I'll just create a script that converts all those chunks to text.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We actually had an audio book that we were cloning basically, and we told Claude, hey, listen, extract all the audio from this one character.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. It just automatically it knows who that character was, luckily, and so it was able to just like pull out WAV files of just that character's audio.
It was pretty good. Once we had the text, it could recognize that character by the words that character was saying. For the most part, it made mistakes. And then, so this part 1C, we have the LLM analyze the transcripts, recognize the character, and then give us the times that we want to extract from the chunks that we already created. So when you create the text file using Whisper, we use this BTT format, which has the text and the timestamps. That way the LLM can give us the timestamps. Then we can extract those into smaller WAV files. And we usually put like a second or two buffer on either end. And then you have the smaller segments. Then we use a tool called Audacity. So this one actually has a user interface, and you can carve out the pieces manually. And you kind of get good at looking at the waveform so you can identify, all right, this is where I can cut, but you can listen to it, see it go across, and kind of cut some pieces out, especially if you want to cut out different voices. So you don't want other voices in there at all. So with the character that we did, even if it found, we were hoping, all right, find a monologue so we could get a long chunks of speeches, but if there's a little bit of back and forth, we want to cut out those other characters. So that part is actually usually manual. We haven't actually figured out how to do that automatically. I did try some tools where I had some things try to analyze the audio and do that for me. I couldn't get it to work.
By the way, if you were going to pay us, we could figure it out. Right?
Yeah.
Is that idea?
Well,
we're just doing it for fun.
All this stuff, yeah. And then once you have all the segments that you've carved out and you have the character's voice, then you can concatenate them all together and create that larger file that you use to clone. All right, and so now we clone. This is the Chatterbox demo cloning template. You pass in the audio file, and this is the sample that it uses to find all the different dimensions of the voice. You pass in the text, and then it'll use that text and generate the speech, and then it'll output it into a WAV file. And so I think just clearly by looking at this, you can tell that it's not that real-time translation that you heard. So this is pretty much state-of-the-art open source that you're looking at right now. That real-time stuff, those are those well-funded startups.
So I also use two different ways of. I basically was doing like traditional like machine learning. So it's like I used these Kokui, which ran for 48 hours on my laptop, and at the end, the audio was horrible. So, and I also looked at another one called Piper. That was also terrible. So this is like the best open source one. If someone knows a better way of modeling a voice, open source way, let us know. The best one we found was Chatterbox.
Right. And so the output here is actually pretty high quality. It'll give you some high quality voice. It'll sound similar to what you heard, but we really want that live kit streaming real-time audio, and you're going to need to do some work to get this open source project to do.
Yeah.
So Chatterbox, here, I'll go to the repo here. This is built by Resemble AI, and that's actually the company that we use to clone that voice. So we tried with 11 Labs and we tried with the Resemble, and the quality was just, for these shorter segments, the quality for Resemble was higher. Now, I think it's very comparable, and especially if you get those longer files, then you can use something like 11 Labs or Resemble. Those are the two that we tested with. We did also use Cartesia, but unfortunately, when you clone a voice on Cartesia, they charge you a bunch of money up front. So you got to really be ready to
To be clear, they charge a bunch of money if it comes out in its low quality. They don't give you your money back.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah. they actually refunded.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah, they refunded me because I said I had a bad experience. But I don't know if I tried over and over again if they would. But I would recommend using Resemble or 11 Labs because you can iterate and clone, and then they just charge you to use the voice. So that model is a little bit more friendly. But Resemble is the company that sponsors this open source. They built it. And it works pretty well, but it doesn't have that real-time element to it.
Yeah.
And so if you actually walk through Resemble and 11 Labs, it's pretty easy. You can upload your file and create a voice clone. All right, and then in this repo, we talk a little bit about how you work with 11 Labs and Resemble here, and then we talk the local Chatterbox TTS, but of course it's only offline, not real time. You have to build a bunch around it to actually get it to work. And the last piece that I want to walk you through here is a little bit about the project structure. For our process, since I use Claude to do a lot of this stuff, as I mentioned before, one of my favorite flows is I write up a workflow in Markdown, I point Claude at it, and then it just starts cranking through this stuff. So if you're working with the CLI and you like using Claude code, you can tell it exactly how to use that CLI and write your own workflow, and Claude is pretty good at working through that. So this is another thing where we have Claude, we put all the training data here. You can pull all those YouTube WAV files, or if somebody gives you MP3s or WAV files, you can throw them here in the raw data to processing steps to finally the training data. And then the last piece that I wanted to walk you through, so this is all kind of the normal live kit stuff, not much different. All right, so this repo is kind of fun. You can actually, in your .m file, or put it in the environment, you can point the agent to the instructions file. So this is, I want you to act like Ali Wong. This can be aliwong.md instructions. And then this is the intro. So if you have instructions on how you want them to introduce themselves, throw it in here.
So sorry, for our demo, we actually have a Ali Wong and an Adam Sandler versions of these.
Yeah.
We just didn't check them in because we don't want to get sued.
Yeah. We're not going to give you the work. You guys can mess around with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just you don't actually want to try to push this stuff out into public.
Yeah.
But it's all there, and I think it's fun, and it's more fun to mess around with characters like Ali Wong and Adam Sandler. I even tried Chris Rock, but that one actually turned out really bad. So super fun. Go do it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't try to push it or deploy it anywhere that you're going to get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
But that's it. So this is the way that we clone voices at App Vitals. And if you want us to clone a voice, reach out. We'll be happy to help you.
Yeah.
And we have a link in the description if you want to talk to us or learn a little bit more about App Vitals and what we do. Schedule some time to chat with us.
Yeah.
And we'll also point you to this repo.
Yeah, so a couple things we learned here is that you need clean audio, as much clean audio as possible. It's hard to get clean audio. It's very tough, right? So that's the hard part. Also, there's a huge delta between, or as far as we know, there is no real-time voice cloning text-to-speech out there.
For open source,
For open source. But 11 Labs and Resemble do a great job. And we know there's been some serious engineering in there to get that to work for sure. So wherever they have under the covers, it's we know that's impressive. Mm-hmm. That's some impressive work.
Yeah, and if you're just cloning, a customer support agent or, a voice for your company, you can also just get a microphone, read a script, record it yourself, and try to get all the different dimensions in there so the LLM can then do the text-to-speech for you. So this is if you have a bunch of audio samples. Like for us, we've done audiobook characters. The Adam Sandler and Ali Wong is really fun too. So when you have audio and you need to extract it for this, then this is our process. But yeah, if someone can give you an hour-long clip of someone just talking into a microphone and reading,
that's the way to go.
Then that's the way to go.
Yeah.
So, all right, sweet. Till next time.
Bye, guys.